How is everybody doing this morning? This is L.A.Kendrick with another tale from the vault of Would You Dare. You guys know how we do it. We do it raw and unedited. We just grab a spot and we go with the story, okay? Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. We talk about everything cryptid, supernatural, paranormal, extra-dimensional, ultra-dimensional, extraterrestrial, real life, demon, you name it, we talk about it here. Just to spark and pique the imagination. Now, make sure that you take this stuff with a grain of salt or however you process it. We're just here to discuss things that are unusual, right? And things that are factual as well, but suspicious in nature. So, I had a commenter, it was weird, it was a weird comment. I didn't understand where the person was going with it, but nonetheless, again, that's what I do in my writings. So today we're going to discuss the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We're going to discuss the facts behind the legend. Since I'm sitting here in Texas as we speak, definitely want to cover this. And as usual, the party don't start till you walk in, and now that you're here, let's begin. Now we're going to discuss the movie starting off, okay? So the movie was marketed as being a true story, but it'd be a bit more accurate to say it was inspired by the real-life crimes of Wisconsin-based murderer and body snatcher Ed Gein, otherwise known as the Butcher of Plainfield. Gein was known for exhuming corpses from graveyards and making mementos with their bodies, bones, and skin, which clearly served as an inspiration for the scene in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when one of the characters stumbled upon a room full of furniture made of dead people, and he is then impaled on a meat hook. Gein, who was found guilty of murdering a hardware store owner named Bernice Worden, Worden, W-O-R-D-E-N, in 1968. He was eventually institutionalized for being, really mentally unwell. Sheriffs found Worden's decapitated body in a shed, and while searching Gein's house, they also found all sorts of horrifying objects made of skin, including masks, which is noteworthy because Leatherface wears a mask made of human skin in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. As if all that isn't disturbing enough, Gein was also obsessed with his deceased mother. After she died, he kept her in a room in pristine condition, even as the rest of the house decayed. He apparently hoped to literally crawl into her skin. If you're feeling deja vu at these deets, you may not be surprised to learn that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre killer is not only a fictional character inspired by Gein, but aspects of this case are also woven into the backstories of Norman Bates from Psycho, Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs, and even a character on American Horror Story. He's also referenced by Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre co-writer Kim Hinkle says he was definitely inspired by Ed Gein, but he also had another murderer in mind. This is his quote: "I definitely studied Gein, but also noticed a murder case in Houston at the time, a serial murder you probably remember named Elmer Wayne Henley. He was a young man who recruited victims for an older homosexual man. I saw some news report where Elmer Wayne said, 'I did these crimes and I'm going to stand up and take it like a man.' Well, that struck me as interesting, that he had this conversation or conventional morality at that point. He wanted it known that now that he was caught, he would do the right thing. So this kind of moral schizophrenia is something I tried to build into the characters." So basically, the cannibal crew in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is actually an amalgamation of lots of creepy IRL men, which definitely makes the entire movie much more terrifying. And on that note, try having a good night sleep tonight, okay? And well, wait, what about the house? This is an interview that they're doing. Oh, that part is actually inspired by a very real, very relatable real-life horror, holiday shopping. Director Toby Hopper explained to the Texas Monthly. And so there were these big Christmas crowds. I was frustrated, and I found myself near a display rack of chainsaws. I just kind of zoned in on it, and I did a rack focus to the saws, and I thought, I know where I could get through this crowd really quickly. Okay, that's kind of weird. I went home, sat down, and all the channels just tuned in. And the whole damn story came to me in what seemed like in about 30 seconds. The hitchhiker, the older brother at the gas station, the girl escaping twice, the diner sequence, people out in the country out of gas. And yeah, the ones in the film are actually real chainsaws. Business casual. A popular read of the diner scene with the villainous Sawyer family is that it parodies a stereotypical suburban family, the likes of which we see in America's sitcoms. So, taking inspiration from normal activities like Christmas shopping, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yikes. Then the question is asked, that creepy house wasn't real then, right? Actually it is. It's been relocated and refurbished, but yeah, it's still standing, and it's home to a restaurant that serves a dessert that consists of 3 deep-fried pancake balls with mixed-in treats. It's a happy ending. It's a happy ending after all, you guys. And that's the end of that article. Again, I didn't want to make that too quick, too long. So, it's a bit weird because from what the little brief stuff that I saw in this article, because like I said, I was trying to make sure that the interview was not too long, okay? But he actually, when he gets caught, he's notified that the house that he lived in was destroyed and burned down or something to that effect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play one of the interviews, right? I'm trying to make it as quick as possible, not too long, okay? So here is what the interview with the guy that inspired the movie was talking about.
Interview Gein concluded that during the years after his mother's death, his psychological problems crossed the line into psychosis.
Fair use.
Mr. Gein's mother's death affected him tremendously. He had no other person to communicate with or talk with. And consequently, he just turned to his inner fantasies, his other interests, and found that without mother, he didn't know what he was going to be doing.
He would come home to this empty, decaying farmhouse. Again, that was without electricity, that was without indoor plumbing. He was completely isolated.
Gein's mother had left him terrified of human contact, of women in particular. His loneliness, however, drove him to seek his own perverse sort of companionship. At some point, Gein said, he began to make nighttime raids on local cemeteries.
Really?
Ed was a reader of the obituaries. He was fascinated by who had just passed away. Ed would find out when the service was going to be, where the burial was going to be, and as quickly as he could get there in the dark of night, he would go and open that grave and get that body.
Mr. Gein substituted seemingly dead bodies for the activities that he had with his live mother before. If mother was gone, he needed someone who literally could take her place.
Gein took these desires to ghoulish extremes. Though it remains a mystery if he ever engaged in either sex with the corpses or cannibalism, some of the discoveries police would later make defied comprehension.
There was what the police called a mammary vest, the upper torso of a woman that Gein had taken from the body and preserved and attached straps to. And then there were leggings that had been made from the skin of a woman's legs.
And at times, it was reported that he would sometimes walk around with this mammary vest that he had managed to make from female anatomy, and he would attach it to his body.
And apparently also sometimes take one of the female genitals that he had removed from a corpse and stick those on himself as well, and pretend to be a woman.
Okay.
Eventually, however, violating the dead was not enough to satisfy Gein's morbid urges. It was around this time that he began patronizing Hogan's Tavern, a local watering hole owned by the bawdy, tough-talking Mary Hogan.
That was one bar that hunters would, after you hunt long all day, you generally stop and have a soda pop. And I recall she was very huge and very jovial and joked a lot. Her nickname was Bloody Mary.
Mary Hogan was indeed a dirty talker. She spoke in profanity like a truck driver, a sailor, or whatnot.
I think when Ed Gein saw Mary Hogan, he saw some kind of grotesque, dark mirror image of his mother.
On the afternoon of December 8th, 1954, a local farmer stopped into Hogan's Tavern to pick up some ice cream for his daughter.
He goes into the bar, and he knew immediately that something was wrong. There was blood all over the floor, and there was money on the floor, and he just turned around and beat it out of there.
Mary Hogan was nowhere to be found.
When Mary Hogan turned up missing, there was talk about, they said they felt she'd been murdered, and she just was missing, and they just could not find her to go to heck for it.
Police explored what few leads they had. Ed Gein was never questioned. No one considered him a suspect. It was too far-fetched to imagine that the quiet, hard-working bachelor could possibly be a killer.
I can still remember, somebody said, well, I wonder where Mary Hogan is. Oh, he said, she's over by my place. He said, I got her over there. And everybody said, yeah, Eddie, you got her. Yeah, we know Eddie, yeah.
As the leads petered out, it started to look like Mary Hogan's disappearance would remain unsolved. Until the night of November 16th, 1957, when police found her face in a paper bag in Ed Gein's kitchen.
Maybe he felt he wanted to incorporate her into his home, and this was his way of bringing home the bride. But he brought her home as a corpse.
As 1957 drew to a close, the people of Plainfield, Wisconsin.
So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to stop the video, right? I don't want to go too far. I don't know how much footage you can use. But as you can see, this dude was off his rocker. And this is real life crazy. Would you dare want to be caught in a situation where somebody's stalking you? Remember, evil doesn't always come from other planets, dimensions, paranormal, supernatural. It comes from right here on Earth, you know, maybe sent by something evil or something negative, right? We don't know. We know it exists. The person sitting next to you, the person that works with you, the person that's sitting on the bus next to you, the person that you're sleeping with, the person you just met at the bar, your pastor. It could be anybody, right? That's how this thing works. You have to always be on your guard and be very careful, because this dude, man, look how they gave him passes, right? Eventually they caught him, of course. And that's the story of him, so to speak. You can check it out yourself further. But I call it the chaos gene, or the sons and children of Cain. You all know the story of Cain and Abel. And more people are, in my opinion, and it's what I write about in my book with the Gem of Destiny and Gem of Chaos. In my stories, people tell their story about what's happening in the real world, in their world, through their eyes. So each individual has their own story about what's going on. And the Foes of God, which I'll have out next month, it wraps the story up, and it's just an incredible story. You know, afterlife, here, there. It's just an incredible story. But Ed, man, this Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing is pretty intense, because, yeah, they embellished a lot in the movie, but it was based on factual evidence, as you can see. And this is just I don't understand how a mind could work like that. But again, I'm not an evil individual. So you guys, make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe, because again, this is where you can actually call and comment. And I appreciate all comments, but I really appreciate the ones where you guys give me feedback on what you think is happening. And, you know, this takes you away from your everyday humdrum life, if that is what you like to do. And we talk about everything here, and I really appreciate the fans and the work that you guys have done, as far as supporting what I'm doing. And again, that's why I write, to tell great stories. And in Hollywood, may I give you good stories, but I have dozens of horror stories that I'm really gonna try to work on to get out. But man, this To skin somebody alive like that, and then she's not the only one. It's multiple people that he's done this to. So you guys make sure, like I say, you check that out. It's crazy. It's crazy what's going on out here. It's crazy in society. And again, I've taken too much of you guys' time as is. So let me wrap this thing up, all right? You guys know the drill. Make sure you check your homes, the dark recesses of your homes, your closets. Make sure that if you work late at night or into the wee hours of the morning, make sure you are mindful of your surroundings when you come outside, when there's limited light and visibility. Make sure you check inside of your car, under your car. Again, because you never know what's lurking in the dark, waiting to make you a story. Protect yourself at all times. And this has been L.A.Kendrick from Would You Dare. And until next time, people, you guys fill in the rest.